For 22 years old, the experiences that you have and that you're going to be able to take to get you to the next level in the game are incredible. I'm a fan, man. I follow you on socials and see you around the ball field, and you do things the right way. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's coming up this season and beyond. But Hilly, you got to keep an eye out for this guy, man.
Yeah, buddy. Listen, you're only 22, and you keep on this trajectory, you too will star in a milk commercial.
I don't think we'll ever be that sad. Come on now.
Ladies' man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me. My mother said it was naughty.
It's only
But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very good.
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP. Welcome back, folks. Episode 24 of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. But Hilly, it's actually episode 2 of the Dust Up Future Stars series, and I'm excited to have 2 of the best up-and-coming / current ball players, not only in Canada but across the world, with Dallas Kipfer and Tyler Pauli coming on with us tonight.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing these Future Stars episodes. Like, it's nice to talk to current ball players who we've played against, from our era, and the retired ball players and the Hall of Famers and whatnot. But it's nice to take it back and go right back to the very beginnings of the ball players' careers and their ISC circuits and their beginnings to their national team exploits and whatnot, and seeing where they're at right now, seeing what their goals are going forward, and what they got coming up for this summer.
Yeah, and we got 2 beauties coming on, and we got Dallas Kipfer coming on first. He's and then we get to headline it with Tyler Pauli, who's an absolute beauty and on the senior men's national team right now. But Dallas has played on junior men's national team. He's currently on the U23 team, playing with Owen Sound Selects. They took down the Grand Slam event there. We'll talk to him about that. And he's coming on to a big boy team in the ISC this year with Grand Prairie Pirates. So looking forward to going through everything with him. And he's just one of those guys who loves giving back to the game while he's playing it with his DK softball coaching. And he's just a great young fella, an incredible talent, and can't wait for our listeners to learn more about him. So let's bring him in, Dallas Kipfer. Well, Hilly, look right there. That's a friggin' ball player to keep an eye on. Dallas Kipfer, welcome to the podcast, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to meet you, Dallas. I heard a lot about you, obviously, as one of the young and up-and-comers, but finally to put a face to a name. It's nice to meet you. How are things up in Kitchener, Ontario? Or are you in Breslau right now?
Breslau is just basically 5 minutes outside of Kitchener, so Kitchener's good enough. It's 43 degrees today, so it was a little warm at work today. I was inside and I'll still sweat my bag off. But
did you say 43?
Yeah, I felt like 43.
Someday up here today, Hilly boy.
We played ball last night. We had a league game. It was 4 degrees.
Wicked. I just got home, boys. No joke, from coaching Teddy at T-ball, and we won. Right? We won. 10 batters going around base to base. Actually, I think it was a what was it? 14-14 tie. But what a day! But the heat, man. The heat, Hilly. You don't have an appreciation for it, but get ready next week. And actually, all of us on here are getting ready to kick it off next week. But Dallas, I've known you for a number of years. Really came on the radar when Elsie and I were going around doing some of these clinics. We met you there. You and I had some on-air TV appearances that we'll get to go through. And then just seeing your rise up through the Canadian softball scene and starting to make your stamp now within the ISC. So I want to talk a little bit about being in Ontario, which is a hotbed for the men's game. When did the game come on your radar as something that you really wanted to dedicate your time to and set goals?
Probably around the 2014 season actually was the first taste of a national championship that I got with Kitchener. That was my first time kind of getting to see, what the talent was around the country. And from being from Kitchener, we are a hotbed, but we never had like the greatest team. So us getting to nationals at that age group was a really big deal. So getting to see, like I said, the competition level was really nice. And to see that, I can compete with everybody else in the country was eye-opening. And then transitioning into the 2015 season was my first time at the ID camps for Team Canada. Being young and then seeing the 17, the 18, 19-year-olds kind of, what they do extra to kind of get into the game was stuff that I was already doing. So I kind of felt like I had a little bit of a jump. And then kind of getting to that main camp as a 16-year-old really gave me the perspective that, maybe I can actually do something with this.
Cool. Yeah. You talk about being an accomplishment in itself just for Kitchener to get to nationals. Like your eliminations, what would that look like for you? Like 15, 20 teams or?
When we were kids, there was 12, 15 teams. It dwindled down pretty quick when we got to around Bantam, but when we were younger, there was a boatload.
When you talk about you went and the Team Canada ID camp, you got noticed and invited to go to that. You were younger, but you said you were doing some of the things that the older members of the camp were doing. What was it that had you starting to do that at a younger age? Did you have someone that kind of showed you the ropes? Did you learn it on your own? How did you start training at that level at such a young age?
My dad could clearly see that I had a passion for it. I think he recognized it a little bit before I did. And he was really good at just being out with me. Like whenever I wanted to go hit balls or take ground balls or whatever it was, he was always there to kind of do that for me. And he was kind of the one, he was like a silent pusher, if that makes any sense. Like he would just like, no, I said like, yeah, let's go. Like absolutely, we'll go hit it. But he kept pushing me every couple months to do a little bit extra. And then all of a sudden, I was at that camp and I was competing with the 17 and 18-year-olds, and I kind of just figured out, I'm like, okay, well, if it wasn't for him, I may not have been able to do that. So I definitely credit a lot to my dad.
How did the camps, once you got to the camp itself, how did that go? Like putting on the jersey for the first time and going through all the rigmarole?
Oh, I was shitting bricks. I was at the time, I was really young, and the names of, like Tyler Randerson, for example, he was there, and I'm like, holy shit, like that's Tyler Randerson. And now he's like a really close buddy of mine. But at the time I was like this is, where I want to be. And, it was, I was shitting bricks.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone in that, but so no. How old are you right now?
22.
22 years old. And when you walked into the camp for the first time, how old were you?
15.
15 years old, Hilly, going to an ID camp. Wow. And but recognizing even at that age that although you might be intimidated, it's new ground for you to go into. It's the top tryout you can get at that age. But having the perception to see that the stuff that you were doing on your own and with your dad and with your club teams put you right in that caliber of player that you could compete. So as that camp went along, did you find yourself settling in and starting to trust your skills a little bit more? Just walk us through once you got your feet wet a little bit.
Yeah, so I literally did get my feet wet that day because it rained every 45 minutes. So the camp was supposed to last I think half a day, and I think we left the ballpark on Saturday at like 8:30 at night. So it was a little bit of a drag, but Tommy Doucette was the coach that year, and he made it very clear from like the get-go, like right after we did the fitness testing and everything, he was like, we're taking 2 16-year-olds. Whether we bring 6 to camp, 3 to camp, whatever it may be, we're taking 2. So at that moment, it was a little bit easier. I could calm down. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not competing against the 18-year-olds anymore. I'm only competing against the other 16-year-olds. Right. So that kind of calmed me down a little bit. And then as the day kind of progressed, like you get to meet a couple more people and talk to the coaches. And then, it didn't take me very long to settle in because it was, an environment that I was comfortable being in.
Yeah. I don't know if you already said it yet. The 2018, where was that? Was that Midland? Was that the Midland one?
No, that was 2016. It was in Midland. I got caught from that. I was on the 2018 team.
in 12 years old?
No,
Yeah.
I was 15 that year,
Yeah.
or 16, I guess, when the team was made. No, we were in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan for
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So you would have played with Jordan Pomeroy, who was on our very first
Yeah.
episode of the Future Stars series, as we call
Bombsy,
it.
baby, love that guy.
That's what I was getting at. I was trying to put some, because I followed along. I was trying to see what team it was, right?
So how was that? So you got your taste of being invited to a camp, didn't make it in 2016, but you got your crack again to make the team in 2018. That must have been a special phone call, or however you found out that you made the team. And then you just walk us through finding out you made Team Canada.
Yeah, it was definitely the first time when I got cut. I was actually at my athletic banquet for high school, and all my friends were around me waiting for the phone call. And then when I hung up, they could just see that it wasn't a good phone call.
Right.
So getting the next phone call, picking it up, I had a different feeling this time because I've already been through it. I was ready for anything. I felt like I showed really, really well at the camp and the nationals beforehand. So I had a good feeling about it, but you never know. So when they finally said, like, all I heard was congratulations. That's the only thing I heard. The rest of the conversation was basically blackout for me. And then I walked inside, and my dad was just like kind of sitting there and just staring at me. And I just had the biggest smile on my face. And then it was a big relief, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, or national team players, even, and like national team players that are in the Hall of Fame now, at some point, some of those guys have had that phone call, whether it was junior or whether it was early in their senior career, that you just didn't make it this cycle or whatever it was. And I was one of those people, got that phone call back in before ISF in 2009. And what it does is, like, it kind of lights a fire in your ass and say, okay, now here's where I'm at right now, and here's the level you got to get at, right? So then you have a whole new list of goals, and it kind of gets you going for the seasons leading up to the next cycle, right? So it's a shitty thing to go through, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, my dad still to this day tells me that was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I had the natural ability to get to that main camp, but getting cut, just like you said, kind of lit the fire under my ass. That whole winter at play ball, I was there like 5, 6, 7 days a week. So I'm like, I am never getting cut again. I never want that feeling again. So I feel like if maybe if I did make it and I was 16, maybe that summer I wouldn't, or that winter, sorry, I wouldn't have worked as hard, because maybe I would have taken it for granted. So I definitely agree with that.
And that's right. Dads know, right? Dads know. We're smart people.
Oh, yeah.
Dads know.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Hey? Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see you on the third base line and in the huddle, Hilly, when you get a little bit older there, buddy. Just grooming these next future stars. But it's pretty cool knowing you a little bit better than Hilly does. Just the passion. That's the thing that I noticed most about you was at these camps. They're not ID camps. They're just skill development camps Elsie and I were doing. And just always attentive, always hustling. But your defense, you're a great hitter. You are a great, great hitter. But the preparation and practice and just time that you put into your defensive side of things. So for a 22-year-old, I don't want to call you a kid, you're a young man, but it's so impressive following you on your DK softball coaching company that you have. And you worked a semi-career, I guess, at Play Ball Academy in Kitchener. So you got to work and hone your skills at that time. But what was playing at the Play Ball Academy? What did that do for your development within the game, passion around it? What was that whole experience like for you? Because it's a pretty storied facility up here in Ontario.
Yeah, if that facility didn't get built in the year that it did, I don't know if I would kind of be in the place that I am now. That place gave me everything. I started just going there when I was training for the 2016 team. And then I actually did my high school co-op there. Oh, ironically, nice. I got really close with the manager there, Trevor. And he was like, yeah, like, I need an extra hand. It was the winter time, so it was busy. So I started my co-op there, and then it just transitioned right into a job. And then all of a sudden I'm there like 7 days a week. And then being there all the time, I was just a sponge. There was just baseball and softball knowledge everywhere. Everybody wants questions because they answer everything. So, I was very grateful to be in that position at that age, because, like I said, the minds around me were incredible. I had every outlet possible. If I had a question or if I wanted something fine tuned, I had somebody by my hip to do that. So, you know, whether it was me and my dad being there late at night or me and Trevor there earlier in the morning, kind of just, you know, taking me through the works and how to create, you know, make defense an art rather than just a skill, because it's an art to be a high end middle infielder. It can be an art. Not a lot of people can really justify how hard it is to, you know, see the other side of the game rather than just the ball come at you. It takes a lot of work, and if it wasn't for them, it wasn't for that facility, it would have been a grind to be where I am now.
That's right. There's not many of us to understand what actually goes on up the middle. Hey, Dallas.
Right here we go again.
I can't be a pitcher hitter like you, Hilly. So,
but just touching on that play ball, the career at play ball. That's like the facility. Lolly, correct me if I'm wrong. Like the PSA that we have here, like Premier Sports Academy.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's we were there, I think, with
yeah, you were definitely there.
We were there with Team Canada, and we had to go do that infield.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, same thing.
Camp that day. You were there.
Yeah. So I can 100% see the benefits of having something like that. Like that's something that we didn't have, and the ball players who are retired ahead of us now, that they didn't have back in the day, that I wish we did. There's a new, relatively new facility here, Premier Sports Academy, same thing, and it was originally it was started up by a couple of baseball guys. And so it was originally a baseball facility, but Ryan Boland and got wind of it and kind of jumped all over it with his Avalon Way program and kind of built a relationship with these guys and partnered up with it. And now we do full on winter camps, 2-3 days a week up there. We do physical training, like same type thing. It sounds like all the cages are there, the infield's there, and it just makes a world of difference. And these kids coming in, I mean, there's hundreds of kids flowing through this, and they might not get it right now, but the work that they're putting in now, like down the road, is just going to pay dividends tenfold.
Yeah, I was able to kind of see, you know, that transition from, you know, the kids. Like when I grew up, when I was 10, I didn't have that facility. But now, since, you know, it's been probably 6 or 7 years since I've been there or started working there. And I can now see these kids that were 10 years old or 11 or 12, now they're getting older. Now they're committing into colleges, and they're taking that next jump that they probably wouldn't have got to if, you know, play ball wasn't there. So yeah, no,
exactly.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And what's really cool about you, and I want to go through the whirlwind that's kind of been the last 3-4 years for you and what you've got a chance to experience, but we'll touch on that in a minute, because you have the DK softball coaching company that you have, and you know, maybe some of our listeners are out there that this guy's a 22-year-old and now he's into the coaching. But seeing how young you started and how you were groomed working with and at that play ball academy, and to see what DK softball is doing right now, it's incredible, man, and hats off to you. It speaks to the passion, not just for your development, but the development of others, passing along the knowledge that you've had. And I watch these videos that you post out there of a coaching session. You're right in the mix. You're not off to the side with a clipboard. You're out there right in the mix, and that goes a long way, especially for some young kids that are just developing that passion, and to see their coach out there in the mix with them. So how did this all, what's the brainchild? How did it all come together for you?
I started coaching pretty quick at play ball. It was more or less just when we had the Kitchener Minor Baseball Association was there. So we had, like 50 kids in there for like 2 hours. So we needed all hands on deck. So I kind of started with that. And then as our audience started to grow at play ball, we needed more instructors and on the baseball and the softball side of things. So I kind of got my chance to do some one-on-ones with like 9 to 10-year-olds. And then, you know, my audience started to grow, and then it turned into, you know, 12 and 13, and then older and older, and then like girls and guys my age. So it started there. And so my boss at the time, Trevor, he actually works with the Los Angeles Angels organization now. Like he was the best. Wow. So he was the guy that I was looking up to. So whenever I was doing a session, you know, it was basically everybody called me a mini me. I just mimicked him all the time. So that's kind of how the passion started, because I saw his athletes start to progress really, really well. And I was like, okay, well, I want to be a part of that, because that makes, I had that with you and LZ. I had that where I had people at that elite level giving me that kind of information, and I knew what it did for me. So I wanted to give it back. And like an example that I use all the time is, you guys gave me those examples when I was, 16, 17, 15 years old. And now I'm giving it to them when they're 9, 10, 11. So we're just kind of like paying it forward. So now these kids know that stuff before even I did. So hopefully that can groom them even further to kind of excel in the sport.
And that's how it works, man. Just giving back to the game. And you look at Dino and Tosh out west doing the same thing. Chris Jonesy's involved. And then as the kids get older and they progress, and like you said, some of them start getting calls for college and stuff. Like, it's just pretty rewarding, man. It's just awesome feeling, right?
Yeah. And doing that with the coaching, I'm sure it's really rewarding, and just get to see the development in the kids that you're working with. But you've also put a hell of a lot of work into your game over those last, let's call it 6 years, and gotten the opportunity to travel the world. You played down in Australia for a little bit. Can you tell us how that all came to be? How long ago was it, and what was the whole experience like?
That would have been, I think I left October 2019. Yeah, because COVID started in early 2020. So yeah, I left in October 2019. I had a couple buddies that went there a couple years before that, and it was always something I wanted to do, but I was like, maybe not. I was still in school. I was humming and hawing what I kind of wanted to do with my life, and then there was just a period where I was just kind of floating. I was just working at play ball and just seeing where life was going to take me, and it just kind of happened. I was having a conversation with one of them, and he was like, well, why don't you go? And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I will go.
Yeah. So
I messaged the billet, and she was like, yeah, we'll take you. And then like a month later, I booked my flight. It just kind of happened. It was really, really great, but it was also really, really shitty, because when I went there, the fires happened.
Oh.
So I was in Australia when the whole country was engulfed in flames. So it started off really well. It'd be a Tuesday night at 9:00, and I'm facing either Adam or Cheese. So that was great for the confidence, but, it was, it just kind of hit a dead end at one point, because it was illegal to go outside. We couldn't play any league games. We got to play that skins tournament, which is really, really nice. That was a really cool experience to be able to play that. I did get to play in the nationals. I played with South Australia, so that was cool too. But the biggest thing I took away from that is just, we're from different countries, but when I was practicing with their team, like they just took me in. Like, I asked questions, like they wanted me to excel just as much as, I want them to excel. And yeah, they do it differently over there. They do it really, really well. Like their practices are legit. There's no slowing down with them. And yeah, no, it was, besides the fires, which was unfortunate, it was an unbelievable experience. I recommend it to anybody.
Fires and massive fucking spiders.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, when Shalesy sends those pictures all the time.
I was working on a job site. I was digging poles for the pool. They were putting some glass stuff and sweating. It's fucking 43 degrees like it is here now, but it felt way worse. I'm sweating my bag off, and I wipe it, I grab the shovel, and I go to dig again, and the ground moves, and I didn't touch it.
No.
So I come like, all right, like what the hell is that? So then I'm like, I just dirt fell. I didn't see it. So then I go to swing again, and this fucking fox spider jumps from the hole up onto the brick wall, eye level with me, and just stares at me.
No.
And I don't move. No. I'm just staring at it.
Nope.
And all the guys behind me are laughing their ass off because they think it's so funny, and I'm not having it. And then I move
running, not even waiting for an Uber, running to the airport, because FedEx and all these places, they can get your stuff back to you, no problem. Probably take a week, but right to the airport.
The worst part about it is when I move to run away, like you just said, it jumped 15 feet to the right. So if I run, this thing's going to catch me anyways. So I think
that's the one that bit Spider-Man. That's the one that bit Spider-man. That's how he got. Probably. That's how he got figured out.
Yeah,
probably. Maybe I should have let him do
it. No, that's it. But that's pretty cool, man. And to go from playing your season over here to basically getting, well, it wouldn't be a full 12 months because the fires and COVID and all that stuff, but just to get that extended gameplay, getting a new experience over there, see how that culture, softball culture operates, meeting a new network of people, playing in different leagues and tournaments against, they're one of the best softball nations in the world. That's pretty cool. So you come back from there, and now I just kind of want to wrap up a little bit of what you've been able to do over the last few years. So you're currently on the U23 National Team, and you're really a core member of that team. And now you're making your jump into the ISC. Is this is your second or third year? Is it playing the ISC, or is it your first?
Second full year. I had like a partial year where I couldn't make everything because of my midget ball, but this is my second full year.
That's awesome. So tell us, our listeners, who you're playing with, what the season has in store in terms of tournaments, and what you're looking for, personally, most to this summer.
Yeah, I got a busy year starting basically now. I think I got seven weekends in a row mixed between Owen Sound for junior and then Grand Prairie for ISC stuff. And just some exhibition games every now and then too. Yeah, I got the Hill tournament coming up, obviously. I think this weekend I'm in Tara with Owen Sound. And then the Hallman tournament. I don't think I'm actually playing the Cephas Roth this year, unfortunately.
The one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's always a good one. I played that one a couple times. That's a good one to go to. Yeah, obviously you got nationals for junior, and then the ISCs, and then hopefully the senior men's too would be nice. And then in October I got the world championship in Argentina. So that's the big one.
Okay, I was going to ask you if that was a qualifier or if that's the actual worlds.
It's a touchy subject, Hilly. It's a touchy subject.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah,
there was
no. So it was supposed to be last October, then it was supposed to be January, then it was supposed to be March.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So there is one, and I think it's whatever. It's like the last week of July or the middle of July, somewhere in there. But it's in Venezuela, so softball is not allowing us to go because they don't want us to die. So yeah,
you guys are qualified.
We just got to get that berth in WBSC, but we got high hopes.
That's exciting, man, and it's starting. This is our favorite time of year, and especially we're recording this 15th of June, I think, boys, is the day that we're at here now. And yeah, a week and a half away, the season starts. I guess it starts for you this weekend. The Grand Prairie Pirates, that's who you're playing with this year. And we know a lot. We're very familiar with that team. Awesome group of guys. So you got a pretty good pitching staff on the team this year. So is it Patty Burns, Zippy, and Scotty Life, if I got that right?
Yes, sir.
That's a pretty solid lineup to play behind. So do you know much about those guys just from watching them, ever played with them? What's your take there?
I was with Zippy and Burnsy in Florida. So Burnsy didn't throw, but I've faced Zippy a bunch of times over the years. I think I've only faced Burnsy like twice ever, but no, I'm really looking forward to having them on my side rather than 80 miles an hour coming on my head. So yeah, I'm interested to kind of tap into the what those guys, how they approach the game too, because a lot of those guys on that team are veterans. So I'm going to definitely be a sponge on that team as well and be annoying as hell and ask a bunch of questions.
Yeah, they got a real good team. I know Blake Hunter, the Arcans are there. Corey Jones is there. It's going to be a good squad. It's good to see him on the IC circuit. And we're going to be you mentioned you're going to be in Simcoe for our tournament at the end of the month here. That's going to be a real good one too. It's going to be a good showcase of ball, and some of the big dogs are there, the Gremlins and all those guys. Bear Creek have a good team this year. I don't know if Kitchener's there or not. I'm not sure if Hallman are there, but and I know the Team Canada Brassers are going to be there too. So it's going to be a good showcase of ball for sure.
Yeah, it's can't wait to get going. You're on a great team, and we talk a lot about the journey of getting from a young ball player to trying to get established on the ISC circuit, making those choices and paying the dues, and then steps in the ladder, and everything that we can see and hear about what you're doing is carving out your own path, but doing what we would consider the right things. You're playing a lot of ball, you're playing your own age group and taking that seriously and making the most of those, but also challenging yourself and making that jump. Made the highest status you can make is being a Team Canada ball player in whatever age group you're at. So a very exciting summer for your development, but also to achieve some of these goals. I know you want to win on the ISC and win at every level. Preparing for that U23 championships to round out the year. What are some of your larger goals within the game outside of this season?
Establish myself as, a quality ISC player, obviously. That's really important, I think. Obviously win as much as possible, because winning is obviously very, very fun. But one big thing that I've really noticed over the last 2 or 3 years is just growing the relationships as well. Yeah, the games are fun and everything, but like you guys say, like the beer time at the end is could be more fun sometimes. Like even last night, like we finally started that Ontario Senior League, and last night, like, yeah, the games are intense. It's really good teams, like very, very, very good teams. But then after, everybody's in a massive circle, we're just drinking some beers and talking about things that we've, talking about our personal lives and talking about ball and everything. So, being a good teammate and growing a lot of friendships throughout, the world would be really cool. And, just, giving it my all and just leaving it out in the field and doing what I can.
Yeah. I mean, even though I haven't met you, I know the name. I knew the name, and I've been following your young career, and I can tell I've watched you play. Most recent I seen you play was at the Grand Slam, I believe, and you guys beat Newfoundland in the final. So I can tell, by your passion, your dedication, what you've already accomplished. I can tell you're well on your way to start ticking off those goals, and they're going to happen pretty quick for you.
Yeah. So speaking of that Grand Slam, just what was that whole experience like? Because it was meant to be and was a showcase for all the talent on the men's game, having the seniors and that the juniors all at the same complex. We talked about it till we're blue in the face, how great it was. But what was it like for you to win that and win it there with all the incredible ball players that were around in both age groups?
Yeah, it started off not so great. WestJet lost my bag, so that was a good start. And then we lost our first game. So I'm like, okay, this is a tough 24 hours to soak. But from there, it just kind of went up. I played in both divisions. I played in the men's with Nith River, and then I played in junior with Owen Sound. So I played 3-4 games a day up until Sunday. So played a lot, but it was good. I was in the zone. I wasn't really thinking about anything. Like between games, I was just getting changed for the next one, basically.
You didn't have time.
Yeah, literally. If I had any other time, I was basically going back to the hotel to just lay down and just, kind of relax and debrief for a bit. But man, winning that, well, first of all, that Saturday night game against Newfoundland, Hilly, were you there? Because I think you guys played after, right?
We played after, yeah.
That was
about fucking midnight.
I've been a part of in my life. It was amazing. I'll never, it was the greatest game ever. But just the fact is, two aces for, the Canada men, the program, and David Watson and Riley Mannion, they're on the mound starting the game. But it's going to be a 4-2, 4-3, just barn burner. Absolutely not. It was it was 16-14 or something like that.
It was high score. Back and forth. I don't know how many innings you played.
They would score 4, they would score 2, we would score 3. It was insane. But yeah, winning that and then coming back out on Sunday and, just kind of putting a statement out there that, we can do this every game was awesome. And, losing that first game, I think, was a really good thing because it kind of kicked us in the ass, because it doesn't matter the names on your roster. If the guys on that roster don't show up, it doesn't mean shit. So we lit a fire under our ass and we kind of steamrolled from there. And man, winning with those guys, those guys are my brothers. And like I said, that was the winning was fun. But winning with them just made it even better.
That's awesome, man. And Hilly, I know you said you've been following around. You seen him out to the Grand Slam. You seen him around, but not sure if you're looking at TSN or CNN or CBC or some of these. You might see a couple of the boys on a commercial there, buddy.
I was going to bring it up for you two to see if you're still getting royalties for that famous Softball Canada commercial I keep seeing.
Oh man, what a time that was, Dallas.
That was a blast, man. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, we go out there, Hilly, and we drive. I think it was out in Kitchener, was it? It was somewhere out that way anyway.
Yeah.
And we had us too. Benny Weidman was out there, and
Benny, yeah.
Oh yeah, just seeing they're setting up the shots, and Benny's doing diving plays. Dallas scooping up the ball and throwing it, but it's pretty cool, and to see it every now and then. Whenever someone in my circle sees it, the phone blows up and start getting chirped, right? But, it's awesome, man, and it just goes back to that passion you have for the game, and we're really happy to get you on, hear a little bit about your story, what you've been doing in the game. For 22 years old, the experiences that you have and that you're going to be able to take to get you to the next level in the game are incredible. I'm a fan, man. I follow you on socials and see you around the ball field, and you do things the right way. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's coming up this season and beyond. But Hilly, you got to keep an eye out for this guy, man.
Yeah, buddy. Listen, you're only 22, and you keep on this trajectory, you too will star in a milk commercial.
I don't think we'll ever be that sad. Come on now.
Yeah, well, that'll be when your wife signs you up without you knowing, and she says you're going. But if you're going to go at it, you got to win the audition just as well as you got to try and win your spot on a team. But that's freaking wicked, man. But Dallas, thanks so much for taking time to come on. One of the premier up-and-coming ball players. Watch out for him on the ISC. Any teams going to the senior nationals, scout them out at the tournaments. And if you need to round out the roster, get in touch with him. Check out DK Softball on Instagram. It's amazing what you're doing there. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me. Before we leave, I just kind of wanted to say thank you kind of on behalf of my generation. You guys, have your role models on here all the time and say how they kind of like paved the way for you and showed you the do's and the don'ts. And, you guys are very much that for my generation. Being able to, do those one-on-one lessons with you in 2016, Lolly, was probably a game changer for me, after the season that you had in 2015, and for you to kind of take the time to help this little chubby 16-year-old kid out kind of chase a dream. It meant a lot, and I hear a lot of great things about you, Hilly, with what you do with the boys at Newfoundland. So I just kind of want to say thank you, for being a role model for us.
Awesome, buddy. Really appreciate the kind words, and I know you're going to have a great summer, and good luck this season.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate you saying that and for coming on. Keep an eye out for him, folks. Well, folks, we've been involved in a lot of tough games over the years, and after those, we like to debrief with an ice-cold Miller Lite. With its great Pilsner taste and only 90 calories and 3 grams of carbs per serving, after every tough game, it's always Miller time. Please drink responsibly. Hilly, what a great young fella that Dallas Kipfer is, man. What a beauty.
Yeah, it was a great chat, man. Listen, he's certainly on the right path to achieve some of his goals, like you talked about, and he got his head screwed on right, and I look forward to watching him play in the near future.
Yeah, he's definitely that. He's an up-and-coming future star. Keep an eye out for him, and now we get to bring in current teammate with Tyler Pauli, who just a short 5 years ago was where Dallas is now, and it's going to be cool to see what he's done from Dallas's stage, we'll call it, to where he's at, because he's a phenomenal talent, this Tyler Pauli, making a stamp on the ISC, fitting right in now with a regular on Team Canada. What stands out to you about him as a ball player before we bring him in?
Well, like you said, it wasn't too long ago he was in Dallas's shoes, and now he's still a young kid. He's 26, 27 years old, and from what he's accomplished so far in the game, it's truly remarkable.
Yeah, man, he's one of the best ball players on the ISC circuit and on the international circuit with the national teams, and really excited for our listeners to get to hear from him. So without further ado, Tyler Pauli. Well, Hilly, we got one of the premier young ball players in the world sitting right there in front of us with Tyler Pauli. I know you just got to spend some time with him. Excited to have you on, pup.
Hey, thanks for having me, boys. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you, Ty. Been 6-7 weeks, maybe 7-8 weeks.
Yeah, just getting over it, pup. Hey, just getting over having the post hanging out with Hilly hangover. But it takes us a good 6-7 weeks to get back to normal. Right. But how are things going for you now, knowing that the season's kicking off in a week or so? What have you been up to?
It's things are going good. I just had my first couple at bats this week since Argentina. I've been a bit injured since Argentina, but no, it's feeling a lot better, and hoping to get some good swings in this weekend. We got the ISC qualifier in Mitchell coming up.
Nice.
And then hopefully starting to train a bit more and get some good quality at bats going forward here.
Cool. So you're Bear Creek, right? Correct.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are playing. So this is an ISC qualifier for the World Tournament this weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, I didn't know
Cool.
that. And that's right there in your hometown.
That's right. Yeah, my backyard, basically.
That's a hell of a softball town too, Hilly. Mitchell,
Yeah.
Ontario. You know, Jody Ite came from there. A lot of the
Yeah.
whole Ite family down that way, and geez, that must be pretty good just to come out of your door, drive down the road, and you're at the ISC qualifier.
Yeah, it's pretty handy, especially, you know, it's only about a 5-minute walk from my parents' house, so
Oh,
it's
cool.
it's easy for me to just kind of hop on over there and say hi to them too during the weekend.
Yeah, we used to play an ISC tournament there years ago. I guess they stopped doing it, but they used to have it. Was it North American Fast Pitch Invitational or something like that? Or
It was something we
shoot,
played.
shootout or something like that.
Yeah.
Shootout, I think it was called.
yeah, cool.
Growing up in Mitchell, were you too young to see and recognize Jody Ite when he was playing, or was he, you know, the guy from your community that set that example that you knew who he was and how good he was?
Yeah, so when I was younger, when I was playing minor ball, he was a bit of a myth for me. I never really got to see him because he was always he was outside of Mitchell when he was playing ball. He was always traveling on the ISC circuit or playing on the big teams. So when I was younger, I never really got to see him play much. But I remember I was probably 13 or 14 when I started watching him play because they had that tournament in Moncton. I don't know if you remember that Moncton, Ontario tournament.
Great tournament.
Yeah.
So I remember watching him play there for the first time when I was an early teenager, and that was kind of the first time that I started looking up to him as an example because it was the first time I got to see him play.
Yeah, he was one of the best, man. Like for people who didn't have a chance to see him play and see in his prime, like it's one of those guys consistent all the way around, but in the big moments on the big teams, you know, at the highest stage, you know, you're not going to meet many guys that can perform at that level better than Jody Ite.
Yeah, clutch, very very clutch player.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's cool, and I don't know how big Mitchell is, but kind of related to where I grew up in Portugal Cove. And I had that same type thing, Colin Abbott, right? So you got this hitter, these guys that you look up to that never. I don't know if I've ever seen him play in Portugal Cove. I only see him play, well, I guess a couple seasons last going off in St. John's, but just one of those guys that you look up to and you read about and follow his exploits on the ISC circuit and saying, like, you know, I want to be there. I want to be like that guy, right?
When I started watching him play, it wasn't necessarily me wanting to get where he was because I really didn't know. Like I was so naive about the whole ISC thing. I didn't really know what that was yet. So when I got to see him play, I was just more in awe. I was amazed watching him play rather than I want to get there. Right? That kind of happened a bit later, my teenage years. But just watching him, I was in awe the first time I saw him play.
Yeah, well, you must have taken some pretty good notes, and you've had a fantastic career up until this point, and you know we're on here what we're calling the Future Stars profile showcase, whatever it is, but you know you've cemented yourself now in the men's game at a high level, playing on the senior men's national team since 2019, making your stamp at the ISC. I just want to go down through a couple of things. How old are you now, pup?
Turning 27 soon this month.
27. So you're damn near about to enter your prime. So you know, to call it a future star, we appreciate you coming on and taking part in this. But you know, the present stardom is certainly there. You're a two-time ISC top batter already. I've played in the ISC since I'm 20 years old. I don't have any of those. You're two-time ISC Canada East Player of the Year. You're a second-team All-World ISC player, top batter, an All-Star at the U23 Nationals, U23 ISC top batter as well, and the Junior Team Canada top batter in Whitehorse. Not to mention, you need to walk our listeners through your first couple of at-bats in a senior men's national team jersey, Hilly. Do you remember seeing this kid for the first time coming on our radar? I think it was out in Kelowna, if I'm not mistaken, Hilly, when we got to see him suit up in his first real game.
Yes, it was in Kelowna to the early bird, or what they call it, the May Days.
Yeah, May Days. Yeah, so we're facing I think the pitcher was Rich Haldane at the time. I don't know if he wants me to tell him that story. But,
He's a friendly giant.
Yeah.
no, I know.
Just watch your P's and Q's. He can still throw the ball pretty hard.
Just yes, Mr. Haldane, no, Mr. Haldane.
That's
and
right.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Buy him a beer in the beer tent.
Yeah, he's hit me with a pitch before, so it evened out a bit. But no, it's my first at bat. I remember. I think it was I got ahead in the count, and he threw one down the middle. I got a good piece of it and went opposite field for the first home run wearing the jersey. First at bat.
That's amazing, and you can appreciate it now being on the team for the past number of years and seeing new guys coming in who are getting their first crack, whether it's on an ISC team or a nationals team that you're playing with or on the national team now. When you see a guy coming into their first career at bat, everybody gets up because we know how special it was because we all had it. And I'll never forget the roar that came out of everyone when you hit that. I don't know if we may have stayed in the dugout or not, but before you hit it and when you hit it, we were yelling out, and it was a special moment. But then we go to Prague, and you get in your first at-bat at a WBSC championship in a Team Canada uniform. Take us and our listeners through that, because that was a special memory too, man.
Yeah, so, I got a couple lucky breaks. I'll say the one in Prague I got a lucky break on. I do remember Shane Boland hitting earlier in the lineup in that inning, and I remember him injuring himself trying to beat out a ground ball. And he ended up being safe, and I think if he was out, that would have been the third out, and I never would have got to bat. But he was safe, and he injured himself, and we got the bases loaded. And I remember it was a 2-2 count when we're facing the Netherlands, I believe. And there was a pitch, borderline strike three looking, kind of caught me off guard. It was a bit of a low rise.
That was a ball.
And called it a ball. Went to a full count, and he threw the exact same pitch, just a bit higher in the zone. So I got a lucky break there, but I got a good pitch to hit on that last one.
Grand Slam, Hilly, and
yeah,
the first friggin' WBSC at bat, Grand Slam.
And those are cool moments at any tournament, right? It doesn't matter if it's Kelowna or the actual World Champions, whatever it is. And we had a few guys in Argentina who suited up for the first time, and they got their first hits in the uniform, and we got to present the balls and stuff. It's just lifetime memories, man. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It was a surreal experience, kind of coming around third base and seeing all the guys there. I take a lot of pride in trying to stay calm and collected out there. It doesn't always happen, but of course I'm trying not to smile around on the bases. And as soon as I get to third, I see all the boys out there as if it was a walk-off hit, and I couldn't help but smile. It was a special moment for sure. My family was there watching. It was a cool moment.
Awesome.
So, tell us where you're at now. We know how nervous and daunting it can be going into your first WBSC and representing the country, but you've been around the program now for a number of years. You've gone to two pretty high-profile events, being in Prague and now most recently down in Argentina. How are you feeling about being a Team Canada ball player and what you're looking out now going into this season in November? How are you settled in, and what do you focus on?
Yeah, so in terms of the national team stuff, I feel confident in the direction that we're headed. I know that I'm looking at Ontario the last couple of years. I know we haven't been represented very well in the senior circuit so far, but we got a lot of good young players coming up in the next couple of years. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in the bigger moments this year in the circuit and going forward with the national team. But I mean, I look back at what we did in Argentina, and although we didn't win the whole thing, we beat Argentina in the round robin, and it was the end of their season, so they were all in shape, and it was our off season. So to be able to do what we did there, I mean, the other teams, the other nations, they got to be looking at us as one of the top dogs again, and rightfully so after what we did in Argentina.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone, right? Like, we learned from it, like you said, it was our off season, but we still had a goal. We had to qualify, and we achieved that goal. So now you learn from it, you get all the takeaways from it, and then you move on. Then we have our full season coming up, and then, and then we put a squad together and go to New Zealand, right?
Well, it's
That's
one of the most exciting seasons ever, really. Definitely in recent memory. But you're settled in now as you've solidified your spot on the men's game now, playing on the ISC, playing with Team Canada. But it wasn't always that way in terms of knowing people as well as you do now. And you, I know when you first got to meet Shane Boland back in 2019, we had Shane on our last episode here, which was awesome. But what was it like getting in a room with him for the first time and meeting him at your first camp?
Yeah, so first time I roomed with him was in 2019 when we were on our way to Prague. Of course, I met him before, and if you know Shane, he's got one of the thicker Newfie accents that I've heard before. So, of course, I'd never really heard that type of accent before. So when I roomed with him in 2019, I probably spent a week not really responding to anything he said to me because I couldn't. He came up to me after about the third or fourth day of me not really talking to him, and he said, "What did I do to piss you off, pup?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, you never talked to me." And I said, "Well, it's because I don't know what you're saying."
Oh no, you would have died laughing at that now. How many people he tell that story to, Hilly? But,
oh my God. It must be pretty cool too, like your first roommate with Team Canada, you're just towering over the guy, right?
Sit down, little man.
Yeah, no, it was obviously it's a little better now, but when all you guys get together, it certainly raises the accents a bit more. So it brings me right back to when I couldn't understand him when I'm around you guys sometimes.
So you guys certainly developed some quick chemistry there up the middle. So what is it like playing up the middle with Shane?
I love it. He's I love how intense he is because, like I said, sometimes it takes me out of my comfort zone when I have to be the one that's really intense and shouting and yelling all the time. And so when I don't have to do that all the time, and he's kind of taken on that role, it makes me feel more comfortable because then I can just do my thing. And not only that, but whether there's a mistake or anything in the field, we talk between every single pitch, and he's the guy that he builds up your confidence more than any other teammate I've ever had.
That's right.
He'll come up to you no matter what you do, if it's a good play or a bad play, and he'll say, "All right, what's next? Let's go. Let's get the next one." Right? And then that's the ultimate competitor and the ultimate teammate, and I think that's what kind of clicked with us right away. Yeah,
that's wicked, and we talked about it, I think, a couple of times, Hilly, throughout the episodes about it's been a progression. It happened in center field with Ryan Wolf and then Bradley Ezekol, and you had Nuts that came before Wolfie, and kind of a passing of the torch. And it was very much the same up the middle on the national team when you had Chris Jones and Adam Smith. Then you had Ian Fearman and Brandon Horn, and now you have Tyler Pauli and Shane Boland are cementing themselves as these partners up the middle. Probably having a really talented first baseman, might be a little bit taller. Bailey Yates is probably good on a career, right?
Holy fuck.
But it's cool to actually getting to see those three generations play. It really does allow you to stand out as something special by comparison. And did you watch any of those guys, like a Brandon Horn, Ian Fearman, Chris Jones, Adam Smith, being from Ontario?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I never really got to see Jones or Smith play much. That was a little bit, I was pretty young when they were still playing. I got to see kind of the tail end of their careers, but I got to watch Brandon Horn quite a bit. And he's someone that I really looked up to in terms of fundamentals of the game, especially him being a second baseman and me being a second baseman. And not only that, but he's from an area that's pretty close to me, so we got to kind of play in the same league growing up. I should say I was growing up when he was in the league. It was the South Perth League.
Yeah.
And I got to play against him, and now I'm glad you brought him up because I get to play with him this year with Bear Creek. And so I'm really looking forward to that and picking his brain because, I mean, there's so much that he's still able to provide that I'm still learning too. So I'm really looking forward to working with him and learning from him.
So who gets the nod at second base here on the Bear Creek, Hilly? You know, does Horny get to come back and take second base, or does the current guy? Because Horny, he's short and he's stocky, but he can dance, and he looks like he might be able to throw down if he wants to compete. You know, in a fist fight for second base. Who gets it, Pup?
Who is shortstop?
I think I'm going to start at shortstop, and he'll be at second base. I've been kind of playing a bit there the last couple of years. I know COVID was actually kind of a wake up call for me to strengthen my arm a little bit and get stronger at that position, just to be a little bit more versatile.
Listen.
So I think the way, of course, second's always going to be my natural position, but I think we're going to start with him at second.
Listen, I played third base last year at ISD's, nothing to it. Knock it down, throw it to first. Simple.
I saw you. I watched you.
Yeah, and that's coming from a fellow whose natural position is sitting down. So nothing to it, but let's talk a little bit about the here and now, Pup, with that Bear Creek team forming. How did you get the call that the team was forming, that they wanted you a part of it, and what's been going on behind the scenes with a new team forming, and where are you guys at as a team going into the season this week?
Yeah, so it's an exciting time. I know you guys went through it with Hill United when they started up, and it's a long story of how it got started, because it's come a long way from what it was supposed to be. You know, our Nith River guys were so tight knit, our Nith River Monster team, and we were really hoping that we could stick together a bit longer. And there comes a point in time where we need to all be at the big tournaments and playing all the time, and we just couldn't afford to do that where we were. And so with this Bear Creek opportunity, it's allowing us to put together a really solid top team, in my opinion, and mostly all Canadians, which is really special. I know that a lot of top teams don't necessarily have a lot of players from the same country. It's pretty spread out. So with Bear Creek being mostly Canadian, it's a pretty cool experience. I'm really looking forward to it this year.
Yeah, I see. I don't know your roster, but I know some of the guys, like, because Colin Walsh, I play club with Colin Walsh here, and he's telling me himself and yourself. You got Sean Cleary, Ryan Boland, Horny, Derek Mason, I believe.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, Schofield. So you got some big time players and some guys that you can certainly pick the brains of, and probably more newfies than what you're accustomed to. So you might have to use the translating ears again to to fit in on some conversations.
I got them one-on-one to be able to understand them.
2 or 3 nights in the beer tent, you sit next to the boys, you'll understand it the next day.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you and Mace will be standing over. I think Mace got the gist of it now, but you still see him shaking his head every now and then when he's at the beer tent around the room. But that sounds like it's going to be a fun group on and off the field. And I think it might have been Hilly. It was us with Hill United forming that. It was really, we knew it was going to be a top-notch team, making a splash, winning some of these invitational tournaments or playing in championship games. And by the time the ISC comes around, expected to be a top 4 team. And this Bear Creek team is probably the next big one since then. I know when the Toronto Gators came back that it had that type of presence as well. But it's really cool to see another premier team with some of the top players in the world in their prime coming together. It's just going to make the whole circuit better. It's going to make the Canadian national team better. That's for sure. But what's your expectation going into the ISC season, Pup, in terms of how you're hoping the season to play out?
Well, I'm at a point where I want to win, and I want to win right now. And I think that we have an opportunity to be one of the best teams on the circuit. I think every tournament that we go into, especially having Sean Cleary on our team, it's easy to sit here and say that we should perform very well at every tournament. Be in the top 1, 2, or 3 in every tournament. So, that's not to say that we have too high expectation. I think that you need to in order to perform well also. So it's going to be cool going to the Diamond and expecting to win all the time. Even when we were playing teams like Hill United and the Twins and the Gremlins, it was always a good experience. But, I mean, when you guys show up to the Diamond, you know you're going to win when you go there. So I'm really looking forward to kind of having that mentality, getting to the Diamond now and playing whoever we're playing. It's we're expecting to win now. So I think that's going to be our mindset going forward, and I think that's going to help us down the road.
Two questions. How is your schedule looking with Bear Creek? Are you guys busy? You playing every weekend? And two, are you ready to go now? Like, I know you were injured. I believe it was your hand. Was it? Somebody said you broke your hand, or you might have broke your thumb, or?
Yeah, broke my thumb. So I think we're in 7 tournaments or 6 tournaments.
Wow.
They're all in Ontario except for ASAs and ISCs.
Nice.
Okay.
So I think we're in Doc, Mitchell, the Hill Tourney, and then the Holman tournament, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then I'm recovering from my hand. It's taken a bit longer than I had hoped, but I've been seeing a specialist and took some swings last night and this week. So hopefully, it felt good last night, and I'm going to swing this weekend and keep progressing from there. It might be a little bit longer before I can play in the field, squeeze a glove, but I got jammed and I got hit off the end of the bat, and it felt okay. So
you're way too young to be a DH, buddy.
Yeah, and this is coming from the youngest DH ever, so you got to take that to heart. But
I think Robbie Gray might have claimed that title, didn't he?
Well, I don't know. Flip a coin with you two, but
it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice having to just go up and bat. It's easy.
Yeah. No, what's worse than watching the DH? Having the friggin' room with one. So I don't know. Do you know who your roommate's going to be this year? Maybe me and Hilly can give you some advice on him.
I don't know who my roommate's going to be. I'm thinking maybe since Horny and I are up the middle, it could be Horny and I.
Okay. Now, what can we tell him about Horny here? You know him a little bit from being in Ontario, but watch out. There's certain songs you can't turn on around him because the hood's going up and he's just breaking down dancing.
Loves to dance. Yep.
Loves to dance. Poker. He doesn't like getting bad beat on the river.
Not very good at it, but he plays.
Not very good. He thinks that he got beaten by bad luck, but that's not true. But it's pretty cool. I bet you're right. Having the up the middle partners playing, especially Horny coming back onto the circuit, it's going to be cool to see that team come together. Looking forward to November now. So this will be your second WBSC, third major event in a Team Canada uniform coming out there. What's your focus on going into there, and what are you looking forward to most?
Yeah, so I think I got off to a really good start in my first event with Team Canada in Prague. We touched on it earlier, but I kind of struggled a little bit after that. And then again in Argentina, I struggled a bit statistically again, but this time I think I'm able to deal with the failures a little bit better now. I'm still learning, but I haven't really put together a tournament like I know I can for an event like that. And just kind of, getting better at dealing with failure is going to help me in a tournament like that. And so I've always been the third or fourth hitter on a team or the second hitter on a team. So when you go to a team like that, and sometimes you have to bat 8 or 9, or you're on the bench and you got to cheer for your teammates, it's a different role. It's not an ego thing. It's just I'm not, sometimes you're not used to that. And I've had a difficult time adjusting to it so far. But I think I really progressed with that in the last go around. So I'm looking forward to a really successful tournament down there in New Zealand.
Experience goes a long way too, right? You put the jersey on and you get in these big events, and like the Kelownas and the Florida tournaments or stuff like that is a bit different. But you get to the big events, like it just kind of, what to expect. You've been there, you've done it before, you wore the jersey, your teammates, and it kind of makes things a little bit easier. But going back to the struggles, we all have those. Everybody has those. It's a game of failure, right? You fail 7 out of 10 times and you're a fucking Hall of Famer. Right? It's short memory, but you got guys. The thing with the national team, well, of course, and like Bear Creek and Hill United, same thing. Times are shit. You're struggling or whatever it is. You got the guys there picking you up and pumping your tires. Or you got guys coming in and rooting for you, no matter what the scenario is, what the case is. You could be batting 1,000 or you could be batting 86. It's part of this game, this crazy game that we play, stupid game sometimes.
It is, but it's refreshing to hear your take on that, because it's easy for someone to sit down and say, "Oh yeah, adjusting to a new role, happy to do whatever," and you'll hear the old saying, "I'll do whatever it is for the team, whatever role you want," and we all mean that in terms of when push comes to shove, whatever my role is, you're going to play. But the adjustment to that role, out of what you're accustomed to is, it can be a challenge. It's a transition. It can play with you mentally, especially, if it's adjusting to a role or adjusting to failure at a certain level or finding your feet. But I'll pass along some wisdom that was put on to me from some coaches, John Hill and John Stewart and Mark Smith and these guys. It was, if you get to that level, you're there for a reason, right? You're a damn good ball player. So your natural ability is good enough to perform at any level. And failure is going to come because you're playing the best every single time. But a player like you, it's not if you're going to be successful. It's not if you're going to get back to where you are. It's when. And it's learning how to have that short memory or make those adjustments as quickly as possible. And to hear your thought process, your outlook on that, leads me to believe that you're ready to strike, knowing that you're primed up now to have one of those amazing tournaments, to have everything click for you. And it really is that. It's not an if that's going to happen. You're one of those type of players. It's a when, but the hard work and the right attitude needs to be there, and you have all those things. So although you're on our profile series here now, we just went through all of the things that you've done. And then we also know there's a list of struggles in your development along the way, going to these national team camps with Elsie. I want to touch on one of those stories that you had down, because that was something I think in your development that really stands out to you, was that national team camp in 2018. And I bring it up more to say, you've gone through a lot of experiences that are going to set you up. But what do you remember about that 2018 national team camp?
Yeah, so that camp was a bit of a turning point for me in terms of my attitude and mentality towards the game. Like I kind of mentioned before, I've always kind of tried to stay even keeled when I play, and although sometimes that doesn't always happen, I always tried to. But up until that point, I remember in 2018 at that camp, we had a meeting after the camp. I remember having a really successful camp statistically. I think I had a couple home runs, and I played really well in the field. And it was just a weekend camp, but it was the best. It was the best of the best in our country. And I remember after the camp, a few of us were kind of pulled aside by some of the coaching staff, and we said, or they were telling us, they said, look, some of you younger guys, you won't make the team this go around. You won't make this cycle, because we're going to go with an older group, a group that we know has been successful, and it might be some of their last goes. So we're telling you this because we want you to keep working hard, and we want you to try and prove us wrong. And so I came out of that meeting, and, I think just being young and being a little bit naive, my whole mentality switched to, well, yeah, I am going to prove you wrong. Like I got a big chip on my shoulder now. And 2018 was one of the best years I ever had. And I remember during that camp, Elsie kind of pulled me aside after a really good at bat I had. And he said, people are watching, people are starting to notice you now. Keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get places pretty quickly here. So I heard that. And then from the coaching staff, I heard, but you're not going to be on the team. And so that really kind of lit a fire under me, and it turned out to be one of my best years. And I think that was a large reason why.
Yeah. Sorry. I was going to say, we touched a little bit on this with Dallas as well. And I had that phone call from Mark Smith, right? But so it's like, you don't always want to hear you get cut from a team, because you've probably never been cut from a team from your life. But at the same time, it's like, how cool was it actually got that phone call? Like, how many players would love to get that phone call because they never made it to camp, or never, so at the same time, changes your mindset. Okay, so now I got to work a little harder. Now I got to tweak my goals. Now the game starts for me. Right. So.
Well, Pup, as you know, we just had Dallas Kipfer on, and on our first segment of this episode. And I know that you know him really well over the last number of years, both being from Ontario. We know how much he's looked up to you and considers you one of the premier players that he's had a chance to get to know and play with. What stands out to you about Dallas?
I'm glad you had him on because of all the players right now, he's one that really reminds me of myself when I was his age. Like, you know, we were kind of chatting earlier that he's got some similar goals that what I had when I was his age, and I see a lot of similarities in terms of the mental aspect of the game. I kind of see where he struggles sometimes because that's where I struggled sometimes. And so I think we've gotten to know each other well now. And I think we've got a good connection there. Just being able to chat with him about that.
Yeah. And it's cool because it was only 5-6 years ago you were in his position and he was rattling off, you know, his goals and his next, you know, what his ambitions are. And you know, that's only maybe 4 or 5, if not sooner, years away from him. And now here we are talking to you, and you're actually in that moment, in that period of time where he's trying to get to. And I just thought it was a pretty cool transition there.
Yeah, it's great to see, and that's what I like about these episodes, Hilly. It gets a chance to look at different stages of really, really good ball players' careers and where they're at, how they got to that point, and where the focus is. Because, you know, when 27 years old, you're entering your prime now. You've done a ton, and the focus really is where it should be, on your goals, on your team's goals. But at times you forget there's another generation 5-6 years younger than you that's looking at the example of that you're doing. And I know that the example you're setting for those guys is something you should be very proud of, and that's having a pretty good impact on one Dallas Kipfer, that's for sure. So it's great to see, buddy.
Well, that means a lot. It's good to see. Like I said, Ontario guys are there's a lot of good up and comers, and Dallas is certainly, you know, at the top of that list. So he's doing well for himself.
And it must be, you know, you're on the back end of this now, looking back at that experience, and you went in, you had a phenomenal 2018 season, and then you got the call that hard work did pay off, and you got in the national team jersey, and now you're really cementing yourself not as just one of the best up-and-coming ball players, but one of the elite on top-level ISC teams and national teams in the world. Amazingly bright future on the horizon, great head on your shoulders, awesome teammate, and we really appreciate the opportunity for you to come on, have a briefer chat than we would normally have with a player of your status at this point, but there's so much coming down the pipe for you. We got to get you back on, go through the full gamut, and can't wait to see what's coming down the pipe for you, for your ISC career, national team career, and, well, shit, we get to see you in a week on the field and in the beer tent, buddy. So thanks so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about your career so far and what's to come. Yeah,
thanks for having me on, guys. You guys have been two guys that I've really looked up to in my career and continue to do so. I look forward to being on here again and hopefully having some more lists of things that we can talk about for sure.
Yeah, buddy. Just just looking at your list of accomplishments and what you've done and so far, and you're only 27 years old, for Christ's sakes. So I know you're going to have a great summer. I wish you nothing but the best. And unless you're playing late night, of course, you can kind of chill out. We've been on the other end too, watching you run around the bases and triples and all this garbage. But anyway, you can. I hope you have a great season. But take it easy on us old fellas.
Well,
all right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome, buddy. And there you have it, folks. Two of the top up-and-coming ball players in Canada, in the world. What an episode, Hilly. I love doing these. And we got Lucas and Nick here. A little bit of rum ragged to take us out.
Get out of here! I told you, Mr. Drama.
I used to be a ladies' man, but I'm a man now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me.
Say bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty, I should kiss her goodbye. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very fine.
And the Wally drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.